Hello again. This is my second video update of my autographs in the WWE Encyclopedia. Today is October the 15th, 2021, and it was actually almost a year ago when I made and published my first video. And I took a count, and since then, in the last year, I've actually added 100 more signatures to the book. A year ago, of course, the COVID pandemic was in full force, and so there wasn't really a lot of conventions happening. And then earlier this year in 2021, things started happening again. I got my first vaccine in January, got the second one in February, and by March I was ready to go. So the first thing I did was hop on a plane to New York, and I went to the big event 19 earlier this year, mainly to meet the Big Show, which I'll get to that here shortly. At that time, after the big event, I met up with Tommy of 80s Wrestling Con, who was doing a great job with lots of virtual signings. I handed the book off to him for a while, and he kept it for a few months through this year, picked up a lot of signatures through Tommy. He later handed it off to Nick of Captain's Corner, who added a few more signatures. And then I met up with him back in July at the Gathering in Charlotte, North Carolina, got the book back, and added a lot more signatures. So we'll begin, and I'll just talk about what's new, not rehash the old signatures. Okay, Lex Luger. So he was at the big event. I had previously met him a couple of times and added his signature in a couple of places, but I never filled this spot. I always make a point to go and talk to him. This is the last signature I'll need of him, but anytime I see him at a convention, I always make a point to go talk to him. He's such a great person to talk to. So this was at the big event in New York in March. Okay, Connor and Victor, they were at a little store called Time Warp in Ashland, Kentucky, and this was just a few weeks ago. Let's see, it was well, it was a month ago. It was in September. Time Warp Ashland. Okay, there's the first Big Show signature from the big event. He signed in 4 places, actually, so the Authority was one of them. Okay, Barry Horowitz, that's a new one. So while Tommy had the book, Barry Horowitz made an appearance at his store in New Jersey, the Wrestling Collector. So Tommy picked up that signature for me in his store. Okay, and then the Headbangers, they were at the big event, and so I picked up all of their gimmicks, Mosh and Thrasher. So I got the Beaver Cleavage one. Alright, Berzerker. He was at the Gathering just a couple of months ago in July. Was super excited to get that signature. Alright, there's the main Big Show page. That was the big event in March. Really happy to get this one. That was the main reason I flew to New York, was to get the Big Show signature in here. Okay, so Tom Pritchard, Zip, he was at the Gathering in July. And then I wasn't aware that a couple of years back when I met Axe, Bill Eadie, I had no idea that he was Bolo Mongol. So he made an appearance at Tommy's store, Wrestling Collector in New Jersey, and so he added this signature for me at his store. Alright, Boris Zhukov wins the award for the smallest signature. This was through Nick at Captain's Corner. He did a virtual signing with Nick, and he signed his page and Bolshevik's page. Very small. I wish he would have just filled this whole box. Okay, Brooke. She was at the big event in March. Met her there. She was really nice. Nothing else new on this page. I really love how this page is turning out. Just about full. I just need Brother Love and Brodus Clay to finish this page. Butterbean, that's a new one. He was at the big event. He was really nice. I like his signature. Carlito. Nick from Captain's Corner picked this up. This was an event in Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania. This was... when was this? Let me look back. June. This was in June of this year. So Nick got that for me. Alright, Hector Guerrero. So, speaking of Nick, Nick brought Hector Guerrero to the gathering in July in Charlotte. And even though this is the Chavo page, Hector is on the picture here, so I went ahead and had him add this signature. Oh, I missed Jake over here. So I had met Jake once before, but I didn't have him sign this page, and this was a virtual signing with Tommy in New Jersey at 80s Wrestling Con. Here's a new one. Craig DeGeorge. Another virtual signing with Tommy in New Jersey. This was back in March. That's a rare autograph. I don't suppose he does a lot of convention appearances. And then Curt Hawkins, just picked him up recently in Beckley, West Virginia at All-Star Wrestling event through Gary Damron. This was August. Yeah, this was in August in Beckley, West Virginia. And then here's a couple. Dan Severn was at the big event in March. He was super nice. And then Darren Young, that was a virtual signing with Tommy, 80s Wrestling. This was, I think this was in May of this year. Darren signed it in 2 other places. We'll see those later. Desiree Peterson, that was a virtual signing with Nick of Captain's Corner. I think this was probably in June. Yeah, I think this was in June, around the same time as that Allentown, Pennsylvania event he was at. Okay, Deuce Domino and Cherry. So the same day as the big event, these 3 appeared at the Wrestling Universe store that's in Flushing, New York, that gets tons and tons of guests seems like every single week. So after the big event, I hopped over to the Wrestling Universe store and picked up these 3 signatures. If I lived in New York or anywhere close to New York, I'd be at this place all the time. They have a lot of great guests going into that Wrestling Universe store. Okay, picked up a new Doink signature. This was Nick Dinsmore. He was at Tommy's store, Wrestling Collector, in New Jersey. So now there are 4 Doinks on this page. I had Steve Kern first, and then Steve Lombardi. And this blue one here is Ray Apollo, and then Nick Dinsmore. He signed it as Doink number 6. Nothing else on this page. Okay, Doug Gilbert, Dangerous Doug Gilbert. He was at the gathering in July. That's another guest that Nick brought in. Dr. D, David Schultz, he was at the big event in New York in March. I was really, really happy to get his signature. He doesn't do a lot of appearances. Nothing there. Mikey Whipwreck. This was a virtual signing with Tommy. And he doesn't actually have a page in the book, so I just had him sign the ECW page. Just looking for anything new. Yep, Eugene. Nick Dinsmore again. So same day when he signed the Doink page, he also signed here at Tommy's Wrestling Collector store. Okay, got both of these at the big event, Layla and Brooke, for Extreme Expose. I've met Kelly Kelly before, but I didn't have her sign this page. So next time I get a chance to meet her, she will finish that. Okay, Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio. That was a virtual signing with Tommy back in, I think, April. And then more gimmicks from the Headbangers. They signed this at the big event in March. Nothing new there. Yeah, Jimmy Hart. Probably met him more than anybody, and I keep finding more places for him to sign. So he just signed this at the gathering in July. And I'm pretty certain that this is the last place he's featured in the book, so I have his autograph everywhere he's appeared in this book. Now if I could just get the Funk Brothers. Oh yeah, Hector Guerrero again. Never ever did I think I would get a Gobbledy Gooker autograph in this book, but seeing as how this was Hector Guerrero in the turkey suit, and he was at the gathering with Nick, I couldn't resist getting that. How many people have a Gobbledy Gooker autograph? Nothing new here. Okay, yeah, there's several new on this page. So again, the Headbangers at the big event. They were so patient for me to ask them to sign every single page in here. They have a lot. And let's see. Okay, I already had Fatu and Afa, but let's see. Samu signed this with a virtual signing with Tommy, and then I added Sione at the Gathering in July. And then Tom Pritchard, he was at the Gathering also. Okay, added another Coco Beware. He was at the Gathering. I had met him 3 years ago, but never had him sign this page. So Coco was at the Gathering. He was another guest of Nick from Captain's Corner. He's always great to talk to. Well, Coco and Nick. Molly Holly, here's a new one. She was at the Gathering. She signed here and her regular page coming up later. Nothing new here. Jameson. Alright, so Jameson was at the big event in March, and funny, he was great to talk to. Funny thing about him is he pointed out that they misspelled his name in the book, but he said it doesn't bother him because he felt like it fitted his character anyway. So he went ahead and signed it with the real spelling, only he signed it with his left hand and crooked, slanting down the page to make it look messy, because he also felt like that would fit the character, that his signature would look awful. So he signs all of his autographs left-handed, even though he's actually right-handed. Jerry Lynn, that was a virtual signing with Tommy. There's a glare on that. There. Yeah, virtual signing with Tommy. He had a big ECW round table. There was Jerry Lynn, Mikey Whipwreck, Too Cold Scorpio, Shane Douglas was there. I can't remember. There was a couple other guys, I think. Yeah. So gimmicks for Luke Gallows. He signed it as Festus. He and Carl Anderson were at the big event. So he signed all of his pages for me. And then again, Too Cold Scorpio here for the Job Squad. Nothing new. Okay, Caitlin is a new one. She was at the big event. She was very nice to talk to as well. Truthfully, everyone I've talked to has always been nice. I really can't think of an incredibly bad experience I've had to date. Carl Anderson, he was at the big event at the table with Luke Gallows. Ken Patera. One of the main reasons I decided to leave my book with Tommy for several months, because I knew he was going to have him do a virtual signing, and I've tried several times to get to meet him, and something has always happened where either he canceled or I couldn't get there. So I was very happy to get this signature. It's one of the guys I grew up watching in the 80s. So Ken Patera, this was in May. He actually did this signing at his Wrestling Collector store rather than his usual virtual signing location. And then Ken Resnick, he was at The Gathering just a few months ago in July. Ken Shamrock, another good one to get. He was at the big event in March. Nothing new here. Okay. I'm actually in a hotel room now with people shouting in the hallway. This is Quang. So that's one of the Savio Vega gimmicks. Savio did he did an appearance at Tommy's store, Wrestling Collector, and he signed the book in 4 different places, so Quang was one of those. And then down here at that Beckley, West Virginia event, there's Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. They were both there. Added them both to that. Trevor Murdoch. So he was at The Gathering. And it wasn't too long after he signed this when he defeated Nick Aldis and became the NWA champion. Layla. She signed the Extreme Expose page earlier and her full page here. This was the big event in March. Another gimmick for Mosh is Chaz. So he signed that at the big event. Another Savio Vega page. Signed that at the Wrestling Collector in New Jersey. Stockholm, New Jersey, I believe. Luke Gallows at the big event. And then when Bill Eadie did his store appearance at the Wrestling Collector, he also signed the Super Machine for me. Tommy got that for me. And then Manu, he was at the big event in New York. Max Moon, that's a new one. He did a virtual signing with Tommy for 80s Wrestling. So Tommy got that one for me. And then after he gave the book off to Nick of Captain's Corner, Nick was able to get this Maven signature for me at that event in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I think it was called Back in the Saddle was the name of the event. That was back in June. See, these aren't new.